Joining me now is the Head of Advocacy at Women's Forum Australia, Stephanie Bastiaan. Stephanie, let's begin in Queensland, where there is increasing pressure on Premier David Crisafulli to reform the state's so-called gender care laws. Government MPs are set to be eager to pass legislation to protect kids from dangerous and sometimes irreversible gender treatments. What else can you tell me about this?
Well, good evening, Rita. Well, we haven't seen anything come on the agenda just yet. I imagine David's been very busy implementing some of his other pre-election commitments, including tackling crime and excessive government expenditure. However, I can't fault his ministerial appointments. We now have Fiona Simpson, who is the new Minister for Women, and unlike her predecessor, she actually knows what a woman is, and she's advocated throughout her career for women's sex-based rights. And of course, the new Minister for Health, Tim Nicholls, is also a very good appointment. During the birth, deaths and marriages debate last year in Parliament, he gave a very passionate speech on the harms of socially transitioning children and how that can lead to medical transition and the implications with that, especially the fact that they cannot consent even with support of their parents, the comorbid issues that come with gender dysphoria, including autism and other neurodivergencies, depression, anxiety, backgrounds of trauma, and of course the social contagion aspect. So he is well and truly across the issue. He's obviously invested time in looking into it, and I have full faith that he would be more than capable to lead reforms. I just hope that we see something on the agenda soon.
Well, it would just be good to see a review, Stephanie. It would be good to see a review of these practices, see what the outcomes have been, how many are undergoing these treatments, at what ages, and to do the sort of reviews that we've seen elsewhere in the world, in the UK, Scandinavia, many parts of the US. Australia's a bit of an outlier right now. We're just blindly following this model without really any care of the consequences for the confused kids who are undergoing these treatments.
Oh, absolutely. We are behind the rest of the world. Even America now is making moves in the right direction. And New Zealand, just a couple of weeks ago, announced one of their health regulatory bodies has urged caution on using puberty blockers to treat children. And we are waiting for further announcements that are expected to come from the health minister over there. So I think a review is certainly a first step, but I would be calling for a halt on these medical treatments. We know that kids are receiving surgeries at a very young age in Queensland. We know that they're going on puberty blockers before they're even 12 or 13. So I would be halting treatments and then organising a review most certainly.
I can tell you, I think we're going to see lawsuits in the future, class action lawsuits, and I think they'll be very much deserved because I think a lot of confused kids have been prescribed treatments that are going to leave them with lifelong medical consequences. Moving on to how captured segments of the media are by radical gender theory, this passage out of the New York Times was incredible. They somehow managed to make women a subcategory in their own sex. In a recent piece, they referred to women as non-transgender women. And this has caused all sorts of backlash. Even leftists like Martina Navratilova, the tennis great, spoke out against this. She said, New York Times, you stink. We are women, not non-transgender women. Just women will do in the future. What's your reaction to this? Every now and then, something comes along and you think, surely not. That has to be parody, it has to be satire, and it ends up being real.
Oh, I know, it's ridiculous. I think people are realising more and more just how ideologically captured these outlets are. Over in America, it's the New York Times. Here, it's the ABC. And I think with the election of Trump and the whole campaign on the issue, more and more women are able to speak out and actually voice their opinions on it, which is very positive. But there are a number of issues with that piece. I mean, they were still disputing the science on the physiological differences between men and women in sport. My 5-year-old knows the difference in the playground, quite frankly. And so I think that these publications are obviously ideologically captured. No one is going to take them seriously until they start reporting on these things properly.
And just on the subject matter of that New York Times piece, the volleyball scandal we've spoken about previously on this program, it looks like the transgender player, San Jose State's Blair Fleming, has played his final college volleyball game. Do you feel like the sports administrators learnt anything during this saga?
Do you know, Rita, I don't think they have, and they should probably be sacked. The litigation, there's an impending litigation against them. That started before the end of this season. It didn't make them think twice or change direction. They had a whole election campaign run on this issue. In fact, it was an injury within the sporting team that put it on the Republican agenda, and they still haven't learnt their lesson. I think that there are some people who are so invested, who are so politically invested in this, they are beyond learning lessons. Perhaps a slap in the face in court might do it, unlikely, but still I think for the integrity of the sport, they all need to be dismissed and a new administration put in.
Yes, I think you're 100% right there. They are putting women at risk. They're putting athletes at risk, and it shouldn't be up to the individual athletes to take a stand, to boycott games. But it's come to that because the administrators have proved themselves to be utterly gutless or ideological. Stephanie Bastiaan, thanks so much for your time this evening.